Alright, so to answer our PnC question, I decided to brute force the answer. And by brute force, I mean write out every single case that is possible. Alright, to pick this team of 4 from the group of 5 basketball, 6 tennis, and 4 squash. Okay, brute force means to write it down. Of course, I'm not going to write it on a piece of paper. I'm not going to be the one that's going to write it. It will take me hours. So instead, I want the computer to do it for me instead. Now, the medium of choice, I'm going to use some programming, and I'm going to use Python. It's alright if you don't understand. It just means I'm just getting the dumb computer to calculate the number of cases, all the number of cases. Yes, that's basically it. Alright, so I'm getting the computer to get a list of all possible groups of 4. So here's the code, alright, on Python. And okay, and it's horrendously long, probably looks like garbage. Okay, you don't need to understand. All you need to know is I just everything above here is just set up. The code is just to set up to instruct the computer, because the computer is dumb, to create all the cases for me. And then finally, I just specify what I want the computer to execute to calculate for me the answer. For part 1, I call it Q1. For part 2, I call it Q2. And for part 3, I call it Q3. Okay, so without further ado, let's run the code. Alright, over here, my code is as such. It will ask me what are the categories of each team that I have specified. Okay, so we know that it's basketball, tennis, and squash. Let me just key that in. Okay, and when I hit enter, what it's going to do is going to start calculating all the cases. Alright, so let's go. Okay, so unique groups have been completed in this calculation where order is not important. The computer says that there are 1,365 number of groups. Now you can easily verify that by 15 choose 4. Punch that into the calculator, you see it's exactly the same. So we know that the computer is correct in its calculation. Then I tell the computer, in case we might be wrong, please generate 10,000 more random groups. Make 10,000 more selections from these 15 people and verify that there is no more than 1,365 cases. To which the computer said, yes, I went to check, and we are correct. So brute force have been successful. We have a list of all the cases. Now I won't go and show you because the computer will crash, because 1,000 plus entries, if I were to ask the computer to show me on this screen, it's just gonna crash the system pretty much, because my computer is pretty old. Okay. Alright, so here I'll just ask the computer for the answers. Question 1, 1, 2, 3, 9. Question 2, 6 to 4. Question 3, 2, 3, 0, 4. Okay, please verify the answers. If all did not fail, that should be correct. Okay, so some of you may not be impressed or convinced that the computer was so smart and maybe I cheated my way, or maybe I just, key in the answers to instruct the computer to give the answer. Example, this 1, 2, 3, 9 as Q1. Okay, so maybe you guys want to look at the number of groups instead of looking at some number here. 1,365, we actually want to look at those groups. Okay, now if you want to, then well, let me explain a bit more under the hood about the code. So each person has a name, and each person has a team that they belong to, correct? Basketball, tennis, or squash. Example, basketball. Correct? So in this case, I don't wish to put a name. I replace names with number, for example, 1 to 15. So 1 is the name of person 1, 2 is the name of person 2, so on and so forth. And each person will have their designated team that they belong to. Okay, so understand what you will see represented by a person in the computer is a bracket. In the bracket, you'll see a number. The number represents the name, so to speak. And on the right hand side, it represents which team they belong to. Okay, so without further ado, I will show you the 1,365 groups that the computer has calculated. Okay, this is just a simple instruction, and I'm gonna run it, and well, here we go. Okay, so there we have it. What just happened? Well, it just printed many groups. What I'm highlighting here is one possible group. Okay, so let me just make it look nicer. Okay, that looks nicer. Okay, highlighted down below. One possible group. Look at this. Remember that I said one bracket is a person with the name. Example here is 12, and the group they belong to in this case is squash. So person 12, who is in squash, was picked in this group. So is person 13 with squash, 14 squash, and 15 squash. And you said, whoa, Mr. Pang, wait, why are they all the same? Well, if you just scroll somewhere along the way, not everything is the same. Okay? So this is again 1,365 cases all. Yes. This is why I didn't ask the computer to show me. I just want the number of groups that I have, okay? So this is the computer spitting to me 1,365 answers and saying, here, all these groups can be accepted as unique cases of a selection of 4 people from your 15. Congratulations, okay? Alright, so we have done the brute force for the question. We have gotten the answer. Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3. Okay, so that one was done by the computer. Now, we'll have to actually use our brains to figure out why we got those answers. So let me refresh our memory. The stories as such. Okay, for basketball, 5 people, tennis, 6, and squash, 4. This is my pool, not swimming pool. This is the pool of people to choose from. And I want to choose a group of how many? 4. Okay. So question 1 is, and now this is asking for a number of ways. Okay, part 1. So in our group over here, we want it such that there is at least 1 person from tennis. And we know that there are 6 from tennis. So how can we choose this? Well, my approach would be using complements. I would like to do at least 1 from tennis equals to okay, total number of ways minus none from tennis. That will be easy for me. Okay, is there a way to calculate this? None from tennis. Yes, very simple. Let me create 4 positions here to pick the people. And instead of my pool being BTS 5, 6, 4, let me go and strike out tennis. I bar you from coming to here. Okay, remaining pool size is 9. I need to choose 4. So this is 9, choose 4, which calculates out to be 1, 2, 6. Okay, now we go and find our total number of ways. Total numbers of ways. 4 people. Now I'm using my original pool. Pool size equals to 5 plus 6 plus 4, that gives me 15. So 15, just choose 4 without restriction. Equals to 1, 3, 6, 5. Just a side note, 1365 was what was given, correct? I mean, what we calculated on the computer. Okay. So we have, let me write it out nicely. Okay, do computation, you'll get this answer. 1239. Check. Okay, in part 2. So in part 2, we want exactly 2 of the CCAs represented. What does that mean? Well, I can have basketball or tennis only, or basketball or squash, so on and so forth, but not all 3 CCAs together, and also not one CCA that represents. Okay, let me give you a counter example. So this would be a failed example. Cannot be, right? The other extreme case, and something, and I'll just leave this blank over here because it could be anything. This would also fail already. Okay, now considering the failed case might prove to be useful. Why? Okay, because let me go and consider cases first. Okay, let's consider the case where I have B and T but no S. So once again, what is the pool? 5, 6, 4. I don't want any S here, strike it out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, we have 5 plus 6, choose 4. Compute that. Okay, let me repeat for all the other cases. Okay, we want B and S, strike out the T. We have happened to calculated that before. 1 to 6. T and S only, strike out the B. We have 6 plus 4. Choose 4. Compute that, 210. Now right here we'll be very tempted to take all of these and plus them together. Well, if you do, you get 666, haha, the devil's number. Alright, but you get 666, which is not the answer that we have, 624. Now 624 is a smaller number, so it seems that our answer has over counted certain cases. What are the cases that we have overcounted? Let's look at our cases here. When I only have B and T and I go 5 plus 6, choose 4. That means I choose 4 from this pool over here, correct? But what if I could have this? Is that considered in my calculation? Yes, but I do not want to. Remember, this one is your failed case. You cannot have that. So it seems there are impurities in my cases. So let me write what I do not want. Correct? And for whatever I have here is whatever I'll have for case 2 and 3, right? But in this case, instead of B and all B, all T, it is all BS, Alt yes, I do not want this. I do not want. Okay, so how are we going to do this? Well, we have to take a separate step. And what are the number of ways for all B, T, and S? Okay. So calculate. Now if it's all B, it's very simple. Let's look at our pool again here. It's just 5, right? 5 choose 4. All T, 6 choose 4. And likewise for S, there's 4, so just 4 choose 4. Go and calculate them. And you will see you get 5, 15, 1. Very good. So now, what are we going to do? Are we just going to take 666 minus 5, 15, 1? No, you will still not get your answer. Why is that? Because for each of your cases, you have to minus 2 things. So here's B, minus BT, minus BS, and minus TS. So you're minusing multiple things. Okay, how many B's did we minus in total? Minus the B here, minus the B here. So I minus 2B. How many T's? 2. How many S? Likewise 2. So we have to minus all of these twice. Okay, so let's carry on. Okay, and when you compute this, you should get 6, 2, 4. Which is the answer. Okay, now for the grand finale. We have come to part 3. Okay, and part 3 says this. Okay, and if from basketball, must be in this team of 4. All your 3 CCAs must be represented, and out of this group of 4, 2 of them will be assigned role, chairperson and vice chair. Now, some of you would just jump in to try to consider all the cases. Alright, you leave yourself very prone for careless mistake or overcomplicating things. Maybe you are overcount or undercount. So here is the idea. Okay, I'm going to give you the idea here. We want to, in a way, wither down the cases. And what do I mean by that? Okay, it all started with selecting 4 people with no restriction. Have we calculated that? Yes, 1, 3, 6, 5 ways, correct? Alright, very good. We're gonna wither down this 1, 3, 6, 5 into this. Andy VIP. What does that mean? Andy must be in the team. I'm handling this line over here. Andy must be in the team. You will see your 365 drop to what number? I do not know yet. Then after this, what we're going to tackle, as you might have guessed, the next line, all groups must be represented. Then you see from here the number will drop even more. Finally, look at the last line here. Okay, assign 2 rows. Then the number will drop finally, and hopefully we will get our answer. which is what? 2304. And then you might ask yourself, well, Mr. Pang, how come we started with 1365 and we end up with 2304? Well, later on we will discover that this one here actually increases the number. Okay, but for now, let's not confuse ourselves. We can just think of this as step by step. Okay, I'm passing this filter to change this number, I'm passing this filter to change this number, and I'm passing this filter to change this number. And originally we think that the number will go down. Okay, in this case, this one may go up, but never mind. The idea still holds. Okay? Okay. So let's start with this. Let me just label 1, 2, 3 so I know what I'm tackling. Okay, let's start with 1. If Andy is the VIP, how will things change? I'm talking about 1. Well, let me just put Andy over here. And again, order is not important. Okay, so Andy can be in 1, 2, 3, or 4. I don't really care. But I'll just put him at 1 and it will be considered already. Then the remaining 3 choose from any, correct? So let's look at our pool again. 5, 6, 4. Now if Andy must be here, Andy is the VIP. What happens? Andy is from basketball. So basketball drops to 4 because of Andy. Okay, now my pool size is 4, 4, 6. Choose how many? No longer 4, we're choosing 3. Okay. So with that, we have 14 choose 3. There are 14 choose 3 ways. Alright, so that's the first filter. This is our number first. Compute 14 choose 3, you get 3, 6, 4. Okay, good. We see that 364 is a decrease from here. Okay, good. Let's move on. Okay, we want to represent all groups. So we must look at these 3 slots here. Now again, we have to consider a case. How can we represent all the groups? Well, one way again is to consider the complements. So what are the possible cases? Well, notice that Andy is from basketball. So how do I represent all? I need a T and I need an S somewhere, anywhere in these 3 slots. So why not I consider a case where maybe T is not here, or maybe S is not here, or maybe both are not in. Then that would fail, right? That would be the complement case. Then I'll go take my 364 and I'll minus that complement. Okay, so we have 3 cases. Okay, notice that there are 3 cases, not 2, because no T could have 1 S or it could have no S. Then they will, and likewise for S could have 1 T. I mean, could have a T or no T. So we would like to consider both, and this is something like the Venn diagram here. Okay, we have no T, no S. We have an additional intersection, which is no T and no S. We need to minus. Okay, so let's do a recollection here. Okay, the union is what we want, which is what are all the complement cases, which is no T or no S or both. Okay, so I must take this, which is case 1, this is case 2, and this is case 3. So my idea will be case 1 plus case 2 minus case 3. So let's get down and dirty. Let's calculate all this. Okay, no t. You ask yourself, hey, there's a shortcut, right? Can we use any of these? Any here? No, unfortunately not, because all these are choose 4 cases. Here is a choose 3 case. Remember, because ND is VIP is taken. So we have to reconsider this one more time. Okay. Cancel 4 because of ND, and now I have 3. I don't want my T, so strike out my T. Okay, what do I have? 4, 4, choose 3. Okay, it gives me 56. Okay, again, 5 becomes 4 because of ND. No S, strike out my S. I need 3. 4 plus 6, choose 3. Okay, last one. Strike 4 because of ND. No T and no S. Strike these both. And what do you realize? Okay, again, 3 slots. I have 4, just this one. Choose how many again? 3. Compute that to be 4. Now back to my idea here. Case 1 plus case 2 minus case 3. So we have 1, 7, 2. Remember, this is the complement case. This is the case that we do not want. Okay, so what must we minus? We must take this, again, the case with ND as VIP, minus of 172. So let's do that. You get 192. Okay, so we have done stage 2. Now let's move on to the last part, stage 3. Okay, we want to assign 2 rows. Now we have to consider this. Okay, suppose I have a specific case, of course, Andy and some other people. And suppose that these 4 people do qualify for 1 and 2. Both qualified, yeah? Okay, so I don't care who are these people. I don't care who you are. I need to assign 2 rows. Now, in this case, it will be better to think of the rows as being assigned to the person. And what do I mean? That means there's a chair and there's a vice chair, and we assign it like this. Okay, you go to 1, you go to 2, or maybe you go to 3, or you go to 4, or you two switch place. Okay, get the idea? Isn't this just like 4 of these slots, just choose 2? 4 slots, choose 2. And since C and V are distinct, order is important, I can switch them around and get another permutation. So let me times 2 factorial. And what is this? So we see that this is 12. So for each selection of 4 people that fits criteria 1 and criteria 2, that fits criteria 1 and criteria 2, I have 12 ways to assign a chair and vice chair. What does that mean? I must go and take my 192 and go and times 12. Finally, what do I have? We see that we get the answer 2304. Aha. So get 2304. Okay, so this is all the workings right here. Okay, let me write the step proper. Okay, the step is as such. Okay, answer. Okay, feel free to rewatch this, pause the video as you wish to gain some clarity. Okay, I wish you all the best.